Alabama fans don't know how good they got it. In year 2 under Kalen DeBoer, we've seen some progress, and boys and girls, it ain't over. Stick around. Let's talk about it. This is Way Offsides. 3, 2, let's go. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Welcome to your favorite Alabama talk here on YouTube. Way Offside. That's way with 4 A's. 3's not enough, 5's too many, just like in the word Alabama. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a fantastic week. I did a video yesterday talking about the coaching staff and Kalen DeBoer, and I think some of you took it to heart. I think you took it and reacted to it emotionally, and what you weren't necessarily understanding what I was trying to say. So I'm going to try to do a better job of explaining that today. It's a cold one today. Hope you're staying warm. I am. Got the Way Offsides hoodie. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to go get you one. Helps out the channel. Plus, it's Christmas time, man. Who doesn't want a Way Offsides hoodie? These are actually pretty good quality hoodies. I'm enjoying mine very, very, very much. But let's talk about Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer came into Alabama, obviously, from Washington by way of Indiana, Fresno, all over the place. He's been a winner everywhere he's been. Alabama fans were extremely excited when he was announced as the head coach. Put together a pretty great recruiting staff almost immediately. Most of that staff is still intact. You can see that in Alabama's recruiting class. Currently have the number 2 class in the country per 247 Sports. Finished in the top 5 last recruiting cycle. I expect them to do something similar in the 2027 recruiting cycle. Now, recruiting's great, but what do the results on the field say? Listen, it hasn't been pretty in 2025. It wasn't pretty in 2024. In my last video, I discussed Alabama finding itself in flux in between its past and its future, who it used to be, who it wants to be, how you still don't have the right personnel in there, and everything's just very uncomfortable. You can see it. It plays out on the field. It just looks uncomfortable. It doesn't flow, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And a lot of people took that as me saying that Kalen DeBoer should be gone. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I was saying in that video is that Kalen DeBoer is going to have to adapt to the fact that some things he wants to do may not work in the Southeastern Conference. He's still learning to be an SEC coach, as in Ryan Grubb. But I don't think he's dead in the water in terms of what he can do on the field. Yes, the SEC championship game was absolutely it was embarrassing. I agree with you. I know how upset you were. FSU was embarrassing. Oklahoma was embarrassing. Anytime you lose, it's going to be embarrassing. Right? Some of the games that they lost in 2024, it was heart-wrenching. But was there progression? I say yes, in the sense that if you look at some of these games that Alabama won, Missouri, South Carolina, last year Alabama loses those football games. That Alabama team last year loses those football games most likely. Not because of one individual player, but because they just didn't have the mentality to face adversity. They're still learning that. Absolutely, they're still learning that. It showed up a few times this season. They responded. Other times they did not. I think that in the SEC championship game, injuries played a huge, significant role in that game. 100%. But Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb got outcoached ultimately. Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann made some amazing adjustments from the first time they played. And really cleaned some things up and played a solid football game. And they had that team inspired, ready to go. Alabama kind of coasted in there, banged up. Didn't really have a great offensive plan. Didn't really adjust. It's almost like they threw in the towel at one point and just kind of said, all right, let's just get through this and see if we make the playoffs. And they did. Now, I fully expect this team to be revitalized, a little healthier going into the Oklahoma game. We all know what happened in that first game. On paper, if you look at that, Alabama should have won that game without question. Alabama definitely has the better offense, Oklahoma has the slight edge on defense. We're going to break down that game in the future. So make sure you're locked in with us so you don't miss it. You can do that by subscribing to the channel. Hit the subscribe button. You can also hit the notification bell, and we'll send it straight to your smart device because we're nice like that around here. It's Christmas time. It's the spirit of giving. We'll give you notifications whenever we post a video or go live or anything like that. Now, I think that Kalen DeBoer is the right man for this job. I think that a lot of Alabama fans struggle with losing because they're not used to it. But when you go back at the history of Nick Saban, he lost games he should have never lost to. He had farm burners. He had a couple of blowouts. Not many. He had a couple. Where he was going neck and neck with a team that on paper Alabama should have brought it. Those games happened to him too, right? And I'm not comparing Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer because that's the problem. There is no comparison. The closest thing in college football to Nick Saban is Kirby Smart, and he's not close, right? So what we have to do is take a step back and look at the picture through a wide lens. And when we do that, we look at the record. I think he is 17-8 or something like that right now. Same exact record as Nick Saban through his first 2 seasons at Alabama, by the way. And then we look at the recruiting classes. We look at the retention from the spring, right? That tells me that Alabama is still working very hard to get their style players in here. They are definitely figuring out some things, personnel on the staff. There are some personnel on the staff that just don't work. And it's nothing against them. I think it's just the opportunity may be a little bit too big. And I'm not talking about Kalen DeBoer. But the offensive line is a great example. It's kind of the tell-all of the whole team. It just doesn't mesh, right? There's no continuity on the offensive line. And some of that is because you're trying to play a different style of offense with Nick Saban bodies. It just doesn't work. There's an uncomfortability to it. And I think in a few months, we'll see that next step in the evolutionary process of what Alabama is trying to become. And I'm comfortable with that. I have faith in my head coach to be able to get it done. I have faith in my head coach to understand that there are big changes that need to be made within the program, along some of the position coaches and things like that. And I trust Kalen DeBoer to do it. I don't think Kalen DeBoer is too small for the moment. I don't. It's year 2. He got Alabama to an SEC championship through that gauntlet of a schedule. He got a rematch against Georgia. It's hard to win rematches. And they're going to make the college football playoff. Whether they should or shouldn't be in the playoff is anybody's, everybody's got an opinion on that, but they're there, right? There are a ton of teams in college football that would love to be where Alabama is right now and have an opportunity to compete for a national championship. Do I think they're going to win it? No, I don't think that they're there. I don't think that offensively we have the team right now. If you would have asked me this a few months ago, I would have said yes. But as what I've seen in the last 5 weeks, no, there's been a regression. Now that's the alarming thing, is because we've seen that happen 2 seasons in a row, offensive regression. Is that going to happen with Kalen DeBoer's quarterback, Kalen DeBoer's offensive line, Kalen DeBoer's wide receivers, his running backs, his tight ends? Is that going to happen? That remains to be seen. And that's the part that a lot of people hung on to in the last video, because they thought I was saying if it doesn't work, they're going to fire him. At a certain point, if it continues to not work, yes, they absolutely will fire him. Now, do they fire him if he's consistently making SEC championship games and playoffs without natties? No, you don't, especially not with the way he's recruiting, because he's putting Alabama in the best position possible. Think of it like a quarterback, right? Your poor quarterback goes and has a bad game or a couple of bad games. Everybody's yelling to pull the quarterback because he's just off right now, right? And you want to see the second string guy, but the quarterback never gets pulled. Why is that usually? 99% of the time, it's because that there's something about that second string quarterback, his game, he's not mature enough, he's not there enough to take over. And therefore, that first string quarterback, even when he's playing poorly, gives you the best chance to be competitive. Kalen DeBoer is that for Alabama right now. He gives Alabama their best chance to be competitive. If you want to fire him, go ahead and take a look around the college football world right now. Go ahead and take a look at the landscape. Penn State, Arkansas. Go look at coaches or schools that are just firing coaches. Auburn. Go look at their success rate. Is Kalen DeBoer the best coach in college football? No. No, he's not. Is he one of the top 5 coaches in college football? Yes, I believe so. Can he get Alabama to a national title game? Yeah, I think he can when he has his pieces. Do I think Alabama should fire Kalen DeBoer next year if he loses 3 regular season games? No, I don't. You have to think of it big picture. You can't look at it from an emotional angle. The people who are making those decisions definitely aren't, because that's how you end up in a mess. That's how you end up not even being bowl eligible eventually, or, falling all the way down the recruiting rankings. And when that day comes, yeah, that's when we have that conversation. But as of right now, Kalen DeBoer is the man for the job for Alabama. He is the guy who had the balls, quite frankly, to step into those shoes. There were a lot of coaches who could have come to Alabama who probably any other circumstance would have come to Alabama if they were offered the job. But given that circumstance, they wouldn't. I don't know if I'm saying that well, but my point being is there are a lot of coaches who would love to be the head coach of Alabama. They just don't want to succeed Nick Saban because the expectations are through the roof. They're high. They're unfair a lot of the time. But I think that Kalen DeBoer is doing a good job. Do I think it is a pretty product right now? No. I agree with you. I get just as frustrated. It's frustrating because Alabama should not have lost to Florida State. They should not have lost to Oklahoma. That Alabama team Saturday was not beating that Georgia team. You play that game 10 times, Alabama's losing that game all 10. There were just too many factors up against Alabama with injuries, the revenge factor, all the talk about Kirby Smart not being able to beat Alabama. And Georgia right now, just based off of that game, looks like the best team in the country right now. We'll see what it looks like in a couple of weeks when the playoffs start. But that's the thing. It's year 2, playing an SEC title game, and then you make the playoff. Alabama did something very similar, except they lost to Florida in the SEC title game. Game was a little bit more competitive than the Alabama-Georgia game. But I think we're 2 years removed from Kalen DeBoer winning an SEC title. 2 years removed from him getting that first-round bye and making a legitimate push in the college football playoff field. Now, I could be wrong. Alabama could come out healthy against Oklahoma and look like the team we've expected them to look and wanted them to look like. But there are a lot of problems. There are a lot of issues that this staff has been trying to address all season. I just don't think all the pieces are there. I think we're getting there. Step by step, day by day. I think we're getting there. It ain't over for Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. And I understand your frustration. I understand some of you don't like him. You want him gone. You don't think he's a good SEC fit. That's okay. You're allowed to think that. I can understand why you feel that way. But I would implore you to really think about the long-term circumstance or consequence of firing a head coach right now. Now, coordinators, we can have a different conversation there. I talked about Ryan Grubb in that last video that I'm referencing. Ryan Grubb is on a short leash. He definitely has to change up his approach and a lot of the things that he's doing. We shall see if he does. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Do you think it's dumb to be having the conversation of firing Kalen DeBoer? There are a lot of people out there doing it. It's all over social media. There are a lot of Alabama fans that want him gone. So I would like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. While you're there, make sure you subscribe. As always, Thanks for sticking around. Say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down. Beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Go pick you up a shirt. Merry Christmas. Roll Tide.